My family was too broke for my birthday while my sister got a lavish party. But when a college honored me, they suddenly came crawling back. I'm William Carter, the oldest child, 24-year-old certified welder who is the first in his family to complete a vocational program. You'd think that would elicit a nod or a group embrace. Nope. When I passed my certification exam, my mother texted me. "Oh, that is cool. Please let us know if you need a new lunchbox." Smiling face with smiling eyes. They assumed I was still a child who failed to RSVP to his own prom, not the guy who could design a structural beam in under 30 seconds. My sister Lily might receive applause for sneezing. 2 years younger, for shades blonder, and endowed with the type of star student energy that my parents breathed like secondhand smoke. Growing up, she had a whole shelf of participation awards. I had a drawer full of receipts for part-time jobs, groceries, gas, and steel-to-aid boots. She took dance instruction. By the age of 15, I had a mop and was working on Sundays at Smiley's car wash. It was not jealousy, it was erosion, one missed moment at a time. When my 18th birthday rolled around, my mother announced, "We're skipping gifts this year. Budgeting's tight." But 2 months later, Lily had a full-fledged Sweet 16 party with a chocolate fountain and a bounce house. A bouncy house. I didn't inform them when I passed my welding certification at 16 following 3 years of night classes and double shifts. I just grabbed myself a burger and fries, sat in the work van, and let the silence suffice. At least Ratchet, my rescued mutt, wagged his tail as if I had won the lotto. So, when Lily's college graduation rolled around, I didn't anticipate a big deal. I wasn't even expecting a medium bargain. However, what I witnessed was a 5-act play with food. Dylan, our relative with a constantly backward cap and a podcast that nobody listens to, shared a slideshow on Instagram. The subtitles read like a press release. "Lily made it. We are so proud of our valedictorian. Queen." There they all were. Mom, Dad, Aunt Linda, Uncle Peter, and even Great Aunt Ruth, whose last reported movement was in 2014. They were all clinking glasses in the garden with matching t-shirts, monogrammed napkins, and a cake taller than my apartment's fridge. I blinked, scrolled, and waited. Mom finally sent me a text. "We will celebrate yours later, Red Art. I'm really proud of you." Number 1, no telephone call. Just the classic later that never comes. I glanced at my cracked phone screen, sitting alone in my studio apartment above a hardware store, Ratchet snoozing next to me like a gremlin in a dog bed. The spaghetti I microwaved had become cold. I did not want the glitter or the cake. I wanted to be seen. The next morning, I pulled on my grease-stained boots, threw a breakfast burrito in my face, and left for work. We were short a worker, so I worked the entire shift on the industrial pipe job, welding through heat and metal fumes. It was exhausting, but made sense. Unlike family, 3 weeks have passed. There was no word, no follow-up, no, "Hey, let's celebrate now." Not even a housework from anyone. It was as if I had developed an allergy to group conversations. Dylan appeared unexpectedly at my workplace. He didn't text or call. He simply drove up in his beat-up Toyota, sunglasses on as if he were filming a documentary. I was piling metal rods into the truck bed when he approached and said, "Dude, you're not going to believe what I just got asked." I wiped sweat from my brow and gave him the same expression I give failing soldering equipment. "This should not be about a podcast episode." He grinned. "Nope. It's about you." And that's when it all began. I squinted at Dylan as if the sun itself were suspicious. "You're saying someone asked you to talk to me?" "Technically, they asked if you'd be available," Dylan explained, raising his brow as if it made a difference. "But yeah," I folded my arms and leaned on the truck's bed.my shirt was half saturated with sweat. Ratchet, who I occasionally bring to work, glanced up from the shade under the trailer as if he too was braced for disappointment. "Okay, spit it out. Am I being drafted or kidnapped?" Dylan appeared overly enthusiastic about someone delivering a message. So, this guy I know, Victor, he said he is on the board of the technical college downtown. They're doing this new trades campaign, Build the Future or something like that, and they're looking for people to feature, like real grads who came up through the grind, not some guy holding a clipboard in a suit pretending to know what a rivet gun is. I blinked. And you give them my name? Well, I showed them your Instagram video where you were replacing that broken water line in the rain. You resembled a welding god. That wasn't rain, I mumbled. It was a burst pipe and I had bronchitis for a week after. Exactly. Real grit. They loved it. They want to meet you, said your story is authentic. They're tired of showing white collars holding blueprints. They want the guy who actually does it. I stared at him, then slowly looked over my shoulder as if there was another William behind me. One that mattered more, I said. Wait. With a dry voice. Let me guess. They're offering me exposure, right? Maybe a pizza coupon. Dylan cracked a joke. No, dude. There's a stipend like $2,000. Plus, they'll feature you on all the colleagues' ads, posters online, maybe even a billboard if they raise the budget. I hadn't noticed. My inner monologue quickly joined in. They want to put my name out there, literally and publicly, which ironically was something my own family never did. I glanced down at my grease-stained boots. The tools clinked ked behind me as the other guys loaded up. The idea seemed absurd. Me, a walking afterthought at every holiday dinner, being asked to represent something. What's the catch? I inquired, half laughing, half serious. No catch. They just want to meet you first. See if you're comfortable on camera. You just share your story, maybe do some shots of you welding, talking about your journey, show people that not every success story wears a tie. I didn't respond promptly. Instead, I reached for my thermos, took a long drink of lukewarm coffee, and reflected about my graduation. I just stood there alone in a half-empty auditorium holding my rolled-up certificate. No one applauded or cheered my name, and now some strangers want to place me on a billboard. I cleared my throat. Fine, I said. I'll go to the meeting. But if this turns out to be a pyramid scheme for selling toolboxes to grandmothers, I'll weld your door shut. Dylan smiled as if he had just pulled off a magic act. Deal. And believe me, this is going to be massive. The meeting was held 2 days later at the community college's main building. I had never been there before. My welding program was located across town in a renovated warehouse that smelled of rust, perspiration, and accomplishment. This place had espresso machines and potted plants. Dylan had to counsel me on not showing up in my work boots. I wore pants and the nicest polo I possessed, which still had a fading bleach mark at the sleeve. I entered that meeting room feeling like a construction worker at a yacht club, but they greeted me as if I were a headline speaker. The campaign coordinator, Naomi, posed thoughtful questions. Victor, the board member, had already learned half of my tale via Dylan. They inquired about my shifts, training, and what I wish people knew about trade labor. And I did not sugarcoat anything. I told them about working late, choosing tools over textbooks, and seeing my sister receive standing ovations for honors I had no idea existed, as I patched up rusted plumbing in a basement that smelled like damp carpet and regret. They listened. When I finished, Naomi smiled and added, "We'd be honored to feature you." That night, I sat in my apartment with Ratchet curled up next to me. I gazed at the email they sent, confirming the campaign timeline. One statement stood out. We'll reveal the campaign at the summer commencement ceremony. My stomach flipped. Summer has begun, the same one that my cousin Dylan was attending. My family planned to attend the same ceremony again for someone else, but this time it was not about them. It was about me. I almost backed out on the first day of filming. I arrived with oil still under my fingernails. Naomi assured me that was great realism. carrying a clipboard as the cameraman set up beside a stack of steel beams. They recorded me welding, sweating, grinding through sparks, and talking about things I'd never expressed aloud. For example, I used to sneak back into the house after 3 a.m. In high school, I worked janitorial shifts, stepping over loose floors to avoid waking up anyone, or how my father once told a family dinner that I was taking a gap year while I was actually working 60 hours a week moving timber on a construction site. The crew didn't interrupt, no phony tears, just nodding and listening. Naomi also had me conduct a sit-down interview. There was no rehearsing, no script, simply questions like, "What kept you going? And what do you wish people knew about this path?" I answered honestly. I wanted to be useful, even if no one applauded. It was necessary. The camera did not wink. Neither did Naomi. Then came the question that threw me off guard. "Do your family know you're part of this campaign?" I choked back tears. "Not really," I replied. "They know I work, but not that I'm proud of it." She smiled softly and scrolled something down. "They will." Over the next week, they recorded more of my workshop, the worn boots outside my entrance, and Ratchet wagging his tail like a four-legged mascot. They even captured a time-lapse of me erecting a unique metal railing that I created from scratch. It all felt less like a production and more like a peculiar form of therapy, as if I had been hushed in lowercase letters my entire life. And now I'm being written in bold. But I didn't tell anyone, nor my mother, nor my father, and not Lily. Especially not Lily. I didn't hide it out of spite. Not precisely. I just didn't want to give them the opportunity to downplay it, which they would. If I told them I was going to be featured at a commencement ceremony, they'd probably think, "Oh, how nice for a trade thing." If I mentioned the billboard, the response would be, "Really? You're not joking." So, I didn't say anything. Allow them to celebrate Dylan's graduation as if it were another family coronation. Allow them to pose in their pastel clothes and share captions regarding legacy and future leaders. Meanwhile, I continued to show up to work, taking Naomi's calls, approving headshot, checking quotes, and witnessing my name transition from an email subject line to a flyer mock-up to a full banner design. Naomi called one afternoon to check the final details. "We'll reveal the new Build the Future campaign at the opening of the commencement ceremony. Your face will be on the main screen during the intro, along with your quote." I took a break. "What quote?" she said, laughing. "The one you gave us." The thing about wanting to be useful, even if nobody clapped, it hit hard in editing. You'll see. Mom sent me a group text the night before the ceremony. "I'm excited for Dylan's big day tomorrow. Everyone remembers to wear blue with a cheerful face and eyes." I stared at it for a time. Blue, the same color I wore when I moved out, when I skipped my own graduation, and ate drive-through tacos in the parking lot. I considered simply answering, "See you there." But I didn't. Not yet. I simply smiled, turned off my phone, lay out my cleanest pants, polished my boots, and printed the email Naomi supplied with my official badge and parking pass. This time, I was not sneaking in. This time, I received an invitation. The morning of the event, I arrived early. It's too early. The auditorium lobby smelled like cheap cologne and new diploma covers. Staff were still pasting signs on folding tables, organizing name tags, and testing microphones. Naomi waved at me and handed me a badge with my name on it. Only my name, not Lily's brother. Not +1. Simply William Carter in bold. "Are you ready?" she said. "Born ready?" I inquired before panicking and adding, "I mean, sure." She laughed and handed me a tiny envelope. "After your feature plays, we'll bring you backstage. The dean wants to give you a quick thank you. They're adding your quote to the college website." I didn't see it. "What? Like permanently?" "Yep," she commented with your face next to it. I slid the envelope into my jacket pocket as if it were made of glass. Around 9:45 a.m., people began to arrive, including parents dressed in suits and friends clutching bouquets. Every fourth individual carried balloons. I located a seat at the back, not concealed, but quiet. Naomi informed me they'd be featuring me after the video anyhow, so I might as well enjoy the show. At 10:02, I spotted them. My family. Mom dressed in her regular modest church glam gown complete with pearls Dad wore. A blazer that I hadn't seen since his unsuccessful HOA campaign. And Lily, her hair flawlessly curled, held an iced latte as if it were a part of her hand. They did not see me. Not that they were looking. They took seats closer to the front, 2 rows behind the graduates. Dylan stood close, talking selfies as if he were going to perform at Coachella. He pointed to the large Welcome Graduates banner and muttered something that made Lily laugh so hard she tilted her cup. I just watched, and maybe for a brief minute I felt the familiar pit in my gut. The one who murmured, "This isn't your crowd. This isn't your day." The lights dimmed and everything changed. A spotlight illuminated the stage. The announcer, a faculty member with a voice suitable for morning radio, welcomed everyone to the summer commencement ceremony. As we honor this year's graduates, we'd like to spotlight the stories that don't usually make the front page. The modest accomplishments, the unsung builders, the hands that literally shape our world. My spine straightened. Today, the narrator continued, we launch our new campaign, Build the Future, featuring someone who reminds us what determination looks like, even when nobody's watching. The screen flashed, music played, and then my face emerged. Not a selfie, not a grainy phone photo. A clear cinematic shot of me welding in slow motion, sparks flying, my eyes hidden behind the mask. My quote below, I just wanted to be useful, even if no one clapped. There was silence in the room. Then more clips. Time-lapse video showing me constructing the railing, mending a burst pipe in the rain, and lifting a welding mask with sweat on my brow. It cut to an interview tape of me talking about working night jobs in high school and how trade school was not a backup plan, but rather the plan. The video concluded with the campaign's tagline, Build the Future in every way that matters. When the lights came back on, there was a moment of silence before applauding. Big, genuine, and loud. Applause. People began turning. A staff member went forward and asked, William Carter, could you please stand? I stood, anxieties kicking like mule in my chest. But I stood. My cousin Dylan's mouth literally dropped open. I saw it from across the auditorium. My father leaned in toward my mother, apparently muttering something with a frown. Lily stared at me as if I were some stranger who had photobombed her graduation party. The applause continued going. People who had never met me applauded. My own relatives simply stared. Naomi smirked as I moved into the backstage hallway. Your family didn't know? Nope, I told them. Damn, she said quietly, almost proud. That's one hell of a reveal. Backstage smelled like coffee, fresh paper, and a faint hint of tense sweat. I followed Naomi down a narrow hallway crowded with event staff. Someone gave me a thumbs up. Another brought me a bottle of water with a wink as if I'd won something. I don't think I'd ever received that many congratulations in a single minute before. We entered a side room and the dean, a tall silver-haired guy with a voice like smooth gravel, shook my hand as if I had just returned from battle. William Carter, he said kindly. It's an honor to meet the face of our future. I wanted to contradict him and say I was just a welder who happened to be in front of a TV crew, but instead I nodded, smiled, and said, thanks. This means a lot. He handed me a printed version of the campaign poster with my quotation and name placed under the headline. We'll be putting this up in the main hallway for the fall semester, he told me. You've already had students asking about the welding program. I hadn't noticed. Seriously, he asked, smiling. Your story is important. Never forget that. 15 minutes later, I sneaked back into the lobby. The ceremony was still going on with alphabetical names called out in waves, but the hallway was packed with Early exiters, bored siblings, and caffeine-dried parents. Lily stood near the exit like a glitch in the Matrix. Alone, I'm holding a mostly empty iced latte and glancing at a promotional poster attached to a display board. My poster. When I stopped a few steps away, she didn't glance up. Looks better in print, I commented. She turned slowly. For a little moment, her countenance remained unchanged. That poised magazine cover calm she had always worn. Then it cracked slightly, allowing a question to emerge. You didn't tell anyone? Nope. She blinked. Why? I shrugged. I figured it was just a trade thing. Nothing worth toasting. Lily opened her mouth, then closed it. Her jaw flexed. She looked at the poster again. I didn't know you were doing stuff like this because you didn't ask. The remarks were honest, not spiteful, and it seemed to hit harder. I'd always thought you were like doing okay, she told me. I was, but this you're practically on a screen in front of everyone. Yeah, weird, right? She exclaimed, taking a brief breath. Not quite a chuckle and not quite a sigh. Then, without looking at me, she remarked. Mom looked like she saw a ghost. I'm surprised she didn't claim I photoshopped it. This actually made me giggle. Quiet. Almost guilty. We stood there for a second. Not as enemies. Not quite like siblings either. Just folks who grew up in the same house but never really shared a narrative. I didn't mean to make it a thing. I told you. You didn't. Lily answered. We did. I nodded. Anyway, she continued. It was cool. You looked like you. That was the most genuine compliment I had ever received from her. I wasn't even sure what to do with it, so I just muttered, thanks. As I began to walk by her, I noticed movement in the corner of my eye. Mom and Dad were loitering near the vending machines, conversing, checking their phones, and staring up at the poster as if it had committed a personal offense. They didn't approach or wave, just stood there in their awkward little cluster. And for the first time in my life, their silence did not make me feel small. I felt solid. They may have approached me. They could have said congratulations or we are proud of you. But they did not. I didn't need them to. I had something better now. Proof and peace. By the time I came home, my phone resembled a punching bag employed by the notification gods. I had 38 unread texts, a dozen missed calls, and 3 Instagram tags from people I hadn't spoken with since high school gym class. I was expecting a few awkward, wow, you looked clean messages. Instead, I opened Naomi's direct message first. Videos live already. 9.2K views in the first hour. You brought it. Fire. I followed the directions. There I was. Put your mask down. Welding torch in hand. Molten sparks flash across the screen like fireflies in a storm. The comment section provided more than just support. It was validation. My brother needed to hear this. This is what kids should see more of. He gets it. Real. Work. True tale. I do not even weld. And it hit hard. One even stated, I hope his family is proud. Which made my soul laugh out loud. Then came the group chat tsunami. Family Read Art 18 members lighted up like a slot machine. Mom, why didn't William tell us? We were very astonished. Dad, I just saw it. You seemed respectable. I didn't expect that level of Polish. Lily, you're quite famous now. LOL. Can I say that I know you? Then came the flood of extended family members reacting as if they had just discovered Bigfoot in their garden. Uncle Peter, wait, is that our William from the college video? Aunt Linda, you should have told us. We would have clapped more loudly. Cousin Megan said, oh my God, I cried. My co-workers also saw it. And of course, Mom's PS to resistance. We're planning a small dinner to celebrate you this weekend. Just family. Ah, yes, just family. The same group that skipped my trade school graduation and live-streamed lilies from the back of a rented party limo. Suddenly, they were laying down the red carpet for some takeout pizza and guilt appetizers. Hard pass. I did not respond. Not right away. Instead, I reshared the official campaign post Naomi had tagged me in, which included my quote and banner image. There's no caption, just a hammer and a flame. The likes started trickling in, then flowing, and finally overflowing. Old classmates I hadn't spoken to in years. Some of whom used to sneer at me for wearing work boots to school were now reacting with fire and flex biceps. Emojis. One man I hardly knew DM'd, "Bro, I showed this to my dad. He said, you speak for all of us." Another person said, you made welding look noble. Then humorously, I received a note from my old chemistry teacher. "Oh, and I knew you would go far. Please let me know if you would want to come talk to my class." I almost responded, "You once called me a distraction with a wrench, but I let it go. Growth or anything." That night, Lily texted me. Separately. "So, are you doing more of these?" I responded simply. "They asked me to appear on a panel next semester." After a few minutes, she said, "That's actually amazing. I believe you found your thing." Then, "It's crazy. We hadn't even realized." Didn't you realize? No, they did not. Because they never asked. They were too busy applauding for caps and gowns to notice the guy wearing welding gloves and working night shifts. Mom messaged again before bed. "Don't forget, we're planning Sunday dinner for your big day. Please let us know if that works." It's funny how a stranger's applause reminds people of your name and makes them want to host dinners. I stared at the message for a moment, then I muted the chat. I had one more thing to complete before going to bed. I opened the marketing video again. I watched the line play and all I wanted was to be useful even if no one clapped. Then I said to no one. Turns out they clap eventually after everyone else does first. I wasn't actually intending on attending the meal. But Sunday arrived and something inside me said, let them sit with it. Let them see you now. Not the packaged version. So I showed up. Clean jeans, a black button-up, nothing flashy, just crisp enough to be unrecognizable to the version of myself that they used to mock. Ratchet stayed home. Even he did not deserve this kind of second-hand disgrace. When I pulled into the driveway, the first thing I saw was a sad little "Congratulations, William" banner hanging over the porch light. It was obviously a remnant from Lily's celebration. Same typeface and colors. They just taped over her name. If you looked closely enough, you might see a faint B beneath the O classic. Inside the living room smelled of store-bought lasagna and worry. The whole family was present. Mom, Dad, Lily, Uncle Peter, and even Aunt Linda, who hadn't spoken to me since she discovered me using the garage fridge as a child. They all smiled like performers who had just realized the director was sitting in the front row. Mom hugged me in what seemed like a job interview. "William, look at you." "Yes," I replied. "I know. I cleaned it up." Dad patted me on the back. "Big man on campus, huh?" "It wasn't a campus," I responded calmly. "Just a stage, but close." We sat down at the table. Paper dishes, generic Coke, and a store-bought cake with "You did it" inscribed in red icing as if someone had forgotten what it was. The discomfort was thick enough to spread on toast. Then Mom raised her glass, a single cup of sparkling cider. To William, she added cheerfully for making us proud. We always knew he had it in him. Everyone grinned. Everyone but me. I took a sip of water and did not say anything because no, they did not always know. They did not applaud when I passed my certification exam. They did not upload images after I was hired full-time. They did not show up when I graduated from trade school with perfect attendance. Strangers were sharing my video and academics were repeating my name, so they knew. As supper progressed, Linda attempted to strike up a conversation. So, do you think you'll be on more billboards? No idea, I replied. But I have 2 crews inquiring about contract work. Wow, she exclaimed, clearly surprised. Lily leaned in, saying, that's impressive. So, what do you actually do now? I asked, smiling slowly. Turns out I can make sparks fly. She rolled her eyes, but did not answer. Toward the end of the lunch, Dad finally addressed the question he had plainly been storing for. So, what's next for you, son? I wiped my mouth, laid my fork down, and responded. I've got meetings lined up for a local partnership, and I'm thinking about opening my own fabrication space by winter. Dead quiet. Mom blinked. Your own? What now? Shop, I replied. Business license, client list, custom work, a real job. None of them laughed. Nobody breathed, so I pulled away from the table and stood up. I appreciate the effort, I murmured, indicating vaguely toward the cake. But I've got an early morning. Welding doesn't wait. I started to leave, but not before looking squarely at Mom, I remarked with a smile. Lily's celebration featured a band. You might have at least recruited someone with a trumpet. I went away. Let's just say the look on their faces was more than worth a toast. I didn't hear anything from the family in the week after that supper. No follow-ups. No, so proud of you texts. The group discussion contained only a few awkward emoji reactions and one unconnected photo of Linda's new dog. But that Friday was when the time occurred. I was standing in the campus lobby waiting to meet Naomi about the forthcoming panel when Dylan strode in, camera bag slung over his shoulder, sunglasses on like he was ready for the press. We established eye contact. He stopped and, attempting to be casual, said, "Hey, man. Big week, huh?" "Yeah," I replied. "Guess so." "You are really surprised people." I responded with a wink. "You too. People didn't expect you to be so quiet." He chuckled nervously and murmured, "Yeah, well, catch you later." He continued to go. I did not ask about the panel. Did not mention the video, but I knew he had seen it. They all did. Later that night, I received a notification. Cousin Jason, who recorded part of the graduation on his phone, had uploaded a selfie on Instagram. I clicked without thinking. He was standing in front of the college's main hall. Behind him, the new campaign banner, Build the Future, featuring William Carter, hung in large lettering, and immediately under the name was the quote. I just wanted to be useful, even if no one clapped. In the photo, I'm next to Jason, not posed or intended, just me standing nearby, hands in my pockets, staring at the banner as if I still couldn't believe it was real. But Jason's caption sealed the deal. Didn't expect to see my name up there. No hashtags, no emojis, simply raw, unpleasant honesty. And that spoke louder than any toast could. Within an hour, others began sharing it. Friends, classmates, previous teachers, and a couple of my clients even submitted screenshots asking if I was the guy in the banner. And the best part, I didn't post anything. I did not explain. I did not elucidate. I did not tag or humble brag. I simply let them see it. Allow them to sit with it. Let them know that I didn't need a stage to be proud. I just needed some space to make my own.so. I did quietly, fully, without requiring applause. They can toast all they want now, but I had already raised a glass to